Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. As always, it's amazing that you would rejoin us for another video.
Yes, and this week we have two major updates you don't want to miss. Just today, the Federal Reserve announced its latest federal funds rate.
Yes, they did.
Late last week, CPI numbers came out as well. So we're going to go through those and we're going to tell you how it affects interest rates, buyer demand, as well as just real estate in general for Northern Virginia.
Well, that's a lot to say. Yeah, as promised from last week, two big reports since we saw you last. The CPI report came out on the 24th of October. That's last Friday. And surprisingly, it actually ticked up a little bit. It didn't go up a whole lot. It went to 3% year over year from 2024. I think that kind of caught everybody a little bit by surprise. Some had forecast it was actually going to be a little higher. Of course, some forecast it was going to be a little lower. But 3% from the overall review was not so bad, and at least it's keeping things kind of in check, if you will.
Right.
That then information led to the federal funds rate decision today by the Federal Reserve, of course, to lower the federal funds rate 0.25%.
Yep.
That had been forecast, I think, over and over and over again. It was very interesting to kind of hear why. And interestingly, on the committee, on the panel, there was not everybody voted to bring it down 0.25%. Some voted to bring it down a little lower, 0.5%. Some voted to keep it where it was and then, keep it up a little bit. So the forecast, for the next Fed report, which is December 10th, is anybody's guess.
Correct. And he did say that there was no guarantee that he would go ahead and raise it one more time, which initially he said, we're going to have two more before the end of the rate, which goes to show you really have to stay on top of these to see what happens next.
Yeah, and the stock market kind of reacted to that because the initial reaction was good. Actually, it had raised up fairly considerably. But during the press conference, the chair, Jerome Powell, of course, made that statement that there's no guarantees here for the December 10th meeting.
Right.
So then the stock market kind of took a little bit of a powder afterwards, if you will.
And I think a lot of it is in reaction to the labor statistics that's coming out, and more they're not favorable. And so I think it's causing concern overall, which is why I think he doesn't want to guarantee another rate.
Yeah.
So,
and the availability of information, too, is one of the things that he mentioned was that they're still able to collect information, even though the federal, the government shutdown is still in effect. Oh, by the way, welcome to week number 4.
Yes,
so they're still collecting data, and he mentioned that as one of the hardships in kind of making a decision this time was the ability to collect information. They feel confident, though, that there is information available, and as they go into December 10th, they're really hoping that the federal government will be back up and active, and those numbers will be available.
Yes, so in terms of mortgage interest rates, it's kind of kept steady from the last time we talked, around that 6%. It actually dropped at one point this week to 5.9. I think everybody got excited, but at least it's going in the right direction. I think a month ago, 2 months ago, we were closer to 6.4, 6.5%. Now we're closer to 6.1%. So I think at least in the long term, we're seeing it drop, but it is very volatile day to day, which is quite usual for the mortgage interest rates. And what it means is I think home buyers are still experiencing, some are going through the federal shutdown and experiencing that uncertainty. So it's slowing the market a little bit, but still there are others who have become quite comfortable with this rate. And for them, there are quite a number of opportunities out there if they are ready to move forward. For home sellers, I think what it means is being very realistic about the condition of your property and also being very realistic as to how you're going to price your home at this point.
Essential.
There is opportunity, but you just have to be very, very smart about moving forward on that.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And interestingly enough, one of the buyers that we're working with is coming up on the end of their rate lock. And when our loan officer put that lock back in, that rate actually came down almost a full 0.5%. So there is some glimmer of hope. I think there's still that energy and that optimism we've talked a lot about. So we'll continue to expand upon that. There's not a lot more information that's going to be released out. No reports coming up anytime soon until the next CPI report in mid-November. So we'll certainly keep you posted on that. But, as we talked about before, the information that we share with you here in this kind of condensed format is also expanded upon in our newsletter. So again, we reach out to you and suggest go ahead and subscribe, because that newsletter we come out every single week. It's expanded. All of these topics are expanded. So we'll hope you'll take advantage of that in addition to watching our videos.
Yes, let's stay in touch and sign up for that newsletter.
All right, we'll hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.